Over the years, residents of Northeastern Province have had to undergo mandatory vetting whenever they needed an ID card or a passport. This won't happen again, according to a proclamation made today by President William Ruto. We have details lined up for you. Welcome to Prime Edition. Here are tonight's highlights.
I have to admit that we'll do better if the resources were even more. But that does not mean that as things stand, the Haiti mission has come to standstill.
With or without the US, Kenya police officers in Haiti to continue despite President Donald Trump's government withdrawal of funding.
Ile vetting ambayo imesumbua wananchi wa Northern Kenya kwa miaka 60. Leo nimesema hiyo maneno ya vetting iondolewe ndio vijana wote wa Kenya wapate vitambulisho vile wa Kenya wengine wanapata vitambulisho.
Equal before the law. President Ruto issues proclamation ending vetting of Northeastern residents before issuance of IDs and passports. And 19 Ethiopian aliens rescued in Kioria, Nairobi after starving for close to 20 days. And so Dingo is a sign language interpreter. My name is John Jacob Kioria. You're very much welcome to the broadcast. To start us off, President William Ruto has revoked the requirement for vetting before the issuance of identification documents for persons living in northern Kenya and counties adjacent to Kenya's border points. The president, who spoke in Wajir County, said all Kenyans are equal before the law and none should be discriminated against based on race, tribe or locality, as Giverson Minor now tells us.
Residents who live in northern Kenya counties and other counties adjacent to Kenya's international borders will not face vetting in the issuance of identification documents, including national identification cards and passports, starting Wednesday.
Residents of border communities have historically been subjected to extra requirements for vetting processes as a prerequisite for obtaining national identity cards.
This is after President William Ruto rescinded a decades-long policy requiring vetting them before they are issued with IDs and passports for security reasons.
By authority vested in me by the Constitution of Kenya, do hereby proclaim and order. Number one, that the extra requirements for vetting and ethnic profiling to which persons living within border counties are subjected to during registration and issuance of national identity documents shall be and is hereby discontinued.
Making the proclamation, the president said the policy was discriminatory.
Whereas Article 27(1) of the Constitution affirms that every person is equal before the law and guarantees all citizens the right to equal protection and benefit of the law, whereas Article 27(4) prohibits the state from discriminating directly or indirectly against any person on any ground, including race.
The head of state said the decision was reached after numerous petitions from largely the Muslim community to the presidency, the parliament and other government offices.
Na ndio leo nimesema kama kuna maswali itaulizwa, wale ile maswali inaulizwa iulizwe watoto wote wa Kenya. Sio ya kwamba watoto wa Northern Kenya waulizwe maswali na wale wengine hawaulizi maswali.
Earlier, the president, accompanied by his deputy and cabinet secretaries, launched a livestock vaccination exercise, saying the move is a requisite in accessing the international market. He also toured several development projects, including an affordable housing project and launch last-mile connectivity of electricity to benefit over 20,000 people in Wajir. Giverson Maina, Prime Edition.
However, you see that decision, it is indeed a landmark decision. Now, former Nairobi Regional Police Commander Adamson Bungei has told an inquest into the murder of Rex Kanyike Masai, who was shot dead during the youth-led Gen Z protests, that there was no operational order at the time. Bungei said police acted on orders to ensure that peace was prevailing within the city. Letua Debra with the details of the case.
Former Nairobi Regional Police Commander Adamson Bungei on Wednesday appeared at the witness stand during the late Rex Kanyike Masai case to shed light on what transpired last year. Bungei, who appeared before trial magistrate Geoffrey Onsarigo at the Milimani Law Court, stated that the police only acted upon orders.
We as police has to attend for purposes of further procedures. So in that matter, therefore, I too informed the OCPD to take the necessary procedures that are supposed of the station commander.
Bungei gave his evidence that he only learned from a post-mortem report that the late Rex died from a gunshot wound. He said that they received a report from the OCPD of Central Police that demonstrators took to the streets as early as 8 a.m. and police were only called to provide security to the businesses.
Not just deployed. Remember a situation that comes up as a national security. National security means if the country is in distress or there is a distress in a situation of any other place, there is a responsibility of any agency to deploy and manage the situation.
The case is expected to continue from 10th to 14th of March 2025, with 2 other witnesses expected to appear before the court. Masai was shot and killed at the height of Gen Z protest in June 2024. In a shocking revelation at the inquest, former police commander Adamson Bungei testified that Rex Masai was not shot by the police, raising more questions about his tragic death. Reporting at Milimani Law Courts, I'm Letua Debra.
Some other developing story as a consequence of what Donald Trump is doing in the United States. The Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has dismissed fears that the multinational security support mission in Haiti will come to a halt following the United States move to freeze its financial contribution to the Forces United Nations Fund. In a statement, the Prime Cabinet Secretary said the mission receives funding from several donor countries, assuring the continuity of the operations.
Following the United States' move to freeze its financial contribution to the multinational security support mission in Haiti, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has cleared the air on the mission's future. Mudavadi confirmed the halting of funding for the mission, but said it will affect only about $15 million in its support.
The process is on. We will do. I have to admit that we will do better if the resources were even more. That's it. But that does not mean that as things stand, the Haiti mission has come to standstill.
Mudavadi adding that the Kenyan-led mission, coordinated with the Haitian National Police, brings together personnel from Kenya, Guatemala, Jamaica, and donor countries, and has assured that there are sufficient funds in the trust from other nations, with approximately $110 million to continue operations. His sentiments were echoed by government spokesperson Isaac Maura, who added that the freezing of funds, which stops $13.3 million in pending aid, won't affect the mission's future.
The fund has sufficient resources to continue underwriting the mission until the end of September 2025, so there is no crisis. The transition of the mission to full UN mission to ensure financial sustainability is a key priority to which Kenya and all partners are committed.
Yusufar reporting for Prime Edition.
In a story related to the withdrawal of funding by the United States, the government is working towards closing the gap created after the United States pulled out of some U.S. aid-funded health services in the country. The Health Cabinet Secretary, Dr. Deborah Barasa, says the country is working towards integrating HIV and TB management into the broader healthcare system. Dr. Barasa says the Social Health Authority will be instrumental in ensuring the continuity of HIV and TB services following the withdrawal of aid. USAID has since announced that it will be placing its global staff on administrative leave beginning Friday.
The consequences of the signing of the executive order freezing foreign aid by the Trump administration is already being felt in the country. The fate of 51 health staff who are working in Baringo County Hospital under USAID is uncertain, with the well-being of patients suffering from HIV in the region in limbo.
Because 51 of our staff were on the payroll of USAID to deal with the people living with HIV and AIDS and other syndemic diseases. Now what are we going to do?
In Nairobi, the Cabinet Secretary for Health, Dr. Deborah Barasa, assured that local solutions are being sought to ensure continuity of programs. Integration of HIV and TB management into the broader healthcare system is among the strategies being employed.
We had time and time again given policy direction on integration of HIV and TB management into the broader healthcare system, and this is becoming a stark reality that we really need to move towards that, so that we don't have HIV, TB programs standing in silos, but we have them integrated. And this is again part of the initiative to have one plan, one M&E, one budget.
Once integrated, the CS says most of the funding will be done locally, a shift from the past where HIV, TB and malaria programs depended on donor funding.
It's critical for us to think of sustainable solutions, domestic health financing, and part of it is through Taifa Care, and that is through the Social Health Authority, where we'll be having funding from the Social Health Insurance and also from Exchequer, and again looking at Treasury and other alternative forms of funding.
This comes as the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, has announced it will place all its global staff on administrative leave starting Friday, with immediate recalls for American citizens working overseas. With over 35,000 employees dependent on USAID funding in the country, the decision threatens job security and the continuation of essential programs that support some of the world's poorest regions. Persons living with disability have also expressed concern.
It's already doing harm. There are many children, for example, who require nutrition. They are sitting in spaces where they're in emergency situations. They are waiting for this kind of assistance.
Meanwhile, following concerns by cancer patients over the shortage of Herceptin drug, the Ministry of Health says that the country on Tuesday received 456 vials of the medication that is used to treat breast and stomach cancer. According to the Health Director General, Dr. Patrick Amoth, the shortage was occasioned by failure by counties to pay Kenya Medical Supplies Authority on time, hence delaying procurement of the drug.
We are in discussion with Social Health Authority so that when KEMSA supplies a medicine to a county, instead of us waiting for the county to pay KEMSA, when SHA is paying the counties, the portion for pharmaceuticals should go direct to KEMSA, so circumventing that process.
The government maintains that it is committed to ensure there is continuity of services despite the recent challenges facing the health sector as a result of the shifts in the global sphere. Nancy Okware reporting for Prime Edition from Afya House, Nairobi.
And because of that development, the Anglican Church of Kenya Archbishop Jackson Ole Sapit says the church supports the move by the United States government to freeze foreign aid, saying it is time African leaders seek internal solutions to addressing problems facing the continent. Archbishop Sapit, who was speaking at St. Paul's College, Limuru, claimed the foreign aid, especially from the United States and Europe, has in some instances been channeled to personal use instead of intended purposes.
We can grow food and we can satisfy ourselves if we have the right programs. So I think Trump disruption of the rest of the world must be a wake-up call for us to be able to think. Every other economy grew, not in easy times, but when they were faced by a crisis, they think deeper. And I hope we can think deeper now. Partially, I thank Trump for the disruption. Let us be disrupted so that we think properly and manage our resources properly. I think the other big problem to our development agenda is greed, and particularly to us leaders when, we take it away from people. And
The Ministry of Defence is on the spot for failing to pay fines and penalties amounting to over 2.7 billion shillings awarded by courts to complainants. Defence Principal Secretary Patrick Mariro was at pains to explain to MPs why the ministry was losing millions of shillings through compensation of officers involved in road accidents while using government vehicles with no insurance. On their part, the Kenya Defence Forces wants Parliament to review land laws to provide for easy access of land for military training programs.
Also protecting this country.
Appearing before the National Assembly Public Accounts Committee, Defence Principal Secretary Patrick Mariro revealed the Ministry of Defence was unable to pay bills arising from court cases due to budget constraints. Over 2.7 billion shillings remain unpaid to complainants who have won the court cases.
As of 30th June 2023, the contingent liabilities could be classified into 9 categories. That is breach of contract, claims for medical compensation, constitutional petitions, land claims, malicious prosecutions, road traffic accident claims, unfair dismissal, claims for injury and violation of rights.
The MP is concerned that at least 70 of the court cases involved unfair dismissal of military officers, while another big fraction of the court cases involved compensation for road accidents.
And I'll also be concerned from another aspect, PS. Such as senior officers feeling unfairly dismissed, can they not cause disability of the country?
If you look at the unfair dismissal cases, they are not many in relative terms. If you just even do a comparison, there are actually very few cases.
The Watchdog Committee questioning why the Ministry of Defence was losing millions of shillings through compensation of officers involved in road accidents while using government vehicles with no insurance.
Basically, government vehicles, including KDF, are not insured. But when you have to spend so much money in compensation for road traffic accidents, don't you think you should actually consider taking out an insurance so that these liabilities are then deflected to an insurance company?
The issue of whether we should insure the motor vehicles within the KDF and probably government by extension is a discussion that can happen. Not maybe by KDF or Ministry of Defence, but entirely as government.
The committee also noted a significant share of contingent liability also arose from court cases involving land matters. The KDF Vice Chief of Defence Forces, John Omenda, urged MPs to review the land laws to provide for easy access of lands for training by military.
Most of what was set aside for the defense force, most of the land was not physically fenced. That's the beginning of the problem. And therefore, we used to fence the built-up area, but the overlying areas, which was still military land, was encroached on.
Gishoki Washira, Prime Edition.
Police in Nairobi have launched a manhunt for culprits behind the 19 Ethiopian national aliens found living in a deplorable state in a 4-bedroom house in Makopoli area in Njiro, Kirima, Nairobi County. Residents say they were attracted by screams coming from said rented house, only to find the 19 who looked emaciated due to hunger. Police from Kayole's Obama police station, however, broke in and saved them. A caretaker of the building was also arrested. The incident happened about 2.6 kilometers from Kayole police station. Residents have attributed the incident to human trafficking, and the group is being held now at the Obama police station, waiting to be arraigned in court and deported.
Hatujaijua ni shughuli gani huwa inaendelea huku, sababu gari kweli zinaweza kuja. Saa zingine huwa zinakuja gari mbili, ya blue hivi, nyingine ya white. Lakini hizo gari zikija zinakuwa zimebeba Nasikia gari hata ukiangalia mguu unaona hiyo gari imebeba kitu mzito, lakini huwa zinaingia tu na nyuma. Zikishaingia tena utaona geti ikifunguliwa zinatoka zinaenda sasa kama hazina uzito.
Ni kama hapa mahali walikuwa wanaishi njaa. Wakaweza kuvunja paa, ceiling na wakavunja mabati. Sasa wakati walianza kurukaruka, watu wenye kuwa area wakasuka wakasema ni watu aina gani? Juu ni watu hakuna lugha wanajua, hawajui Kiswahili, hawajui Kizungu na hawajui lugha yoyote. Ukiongelesha wanaongea kama bubu.
Tunaomba wafanye uchunguzi wa kindani, wafuate wajue ni kina nani wanaendeleza biashara ya hii.
Other one is coming by their own foot. I come by car or by bus.
We are ripe for a breather. We're taking the fast and right on Prime Edition. When we come back, with money is lined up for you, including what is happening in business and sports. Don't go too far.
Shilingi 1,000. Toka kwa hiyo sanduku. Stoki. Kizongo mkungi. Rudisha hiyo pesa kwa sanduku namba 10.
Ongeza ifike 50.
Kwa nini? Anataka ukule popcorn ukitizama runinga, sawa? 100,000 Kenya shillings. Inch TV. 1,000 Kenya shillings. Yes!
Do realize Kikara kijua vile unafanya atakupeleka mbio sana.
You should be thanking me for taking care of this situation.
We've already done enough harm.
There is no way. What?
Sio lazima mbese.
Blackie didn't kill himself, did he?
Kikara akijua hii story, hata mimi naondolewa.
You are the law for crying out loud.
Do you trust Dan and his boss?
You cannot trust dirty cops.
Be careful.
Your advice is saidia saizi.
I found him at J&J.
Ulienda kufanya nini huko? You want me to ask you the same question twice?
Let me call you after an hour or so.
Huyo ni nani?
Ni simu za kazi tu. Can you tell me the reason why I'm here?
Loyalty cannot be taught.
Mimi sielewi. I don't understand this story yote.
You must learn to be content with what you get.
Welcome back. You are watching the Prime Edition. The Senate wants the Parliamentary Service Commission to address challenges facing the Senate, among them budget cuts and underfunding. During the ongoing Senate midterm retreat in Naivasha, ahead of a resumption of Senate business for the 4th session next week, senators pointed out the underfunding that was affecting the House oversight role. During the session, members also urged the Speaker to exercise impartiality while presiding over the business of a House, even as the minority put the majority wing on the spot over alleged abductions in the country.
I pledge nothing short of impartiality and fairness in discharge of our duties as the Presidium. The Senate's success is Kenya's success.
We as senators strongly believe and hold the view that the Senate is deliberately being denied funding for the sole purpose of weakening the institution.
The expressions that I've heard about the frustration that the Senate is going through cannot be dealt with the Minister of Finance, cannot be solved by the President. It is a question of the commissioners. Senate has got commissioners in Parliamentary Service Commission. National Assembly has got the same. It is up to those commissioners to go and defend the budget of the Senate.
We have had many challenges
since in the last session. And more specifically, I want to say some of these challenges are on the side of finances.
Government agencies during this event.
The Office of the Attorney General is set to decentralize the Committee of Mercy to Kisumu to cater for reformed convicts seeking freedom through the Presidential Power of Mercy. Attorney General Dorcas Oduor said the move is in line with the government's vision of moving services closer to the people. The AG was speaking in Kisumu after commissioning a documentation center that will facilitate the safe preservation of public documents relating to the administration of justice. Similar centers will be established in all 47 counties in a bid to enhance accessibility to the services rendered by the Office of the Attorney General.
See, the Office of the Attorney General holds so many documents, especially in probate and administration. These are things that should last a lifetime. As you know, under the Constitution, the President can pardon anybody for any offense. For him to pardon you, there must be a committee that processes you. So up to now, that committee has been housed in Nairobi. It is our view that that committee must be decentralized so that everybody in Kenya and every part of Kenya is able to access those services. That role that we have been given as the custodian of some of the documents of citizens' lives must be kept in a manner that it can be retrieved. Although we want to leverage on technology, but we think that what we already have must be preserved in a way that they can be used by the generation to come, and that is why we have opened this new documentation center that can be used by everybody as a resource for documentation that we hold. We go there for the purposes of the camera.
The county governments have been encouraged to embrace technology to enhance own source revenue. Speaking during the second annual Own Source Revenue Conference in Nairobi, the Devolution Principal Secretary Teresia Mbaika said the government is working to ensure the system that have worked in selected counties are embraced across the 47 counties. The two-day conference seeks to equip the county governments with the requisite knowledge and resource mobilization for sustainable development.
Some counties, you don't need to reinvent the wheel because we have counties who have done very well. I would want to specifically talk about Homa Bay. Homa Bay have done very well in the recent past. Why? Because of embracing technology, coming up with a system. So if that system is working for some counties, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. National Treasury can look at that county system and make it better for all the other counties. The other issue is around capacity building. And for me, this is part of capacity building.
And we have partnered with some of the counties to enhance and support the revenue collections by way of technology. And we have successfully taken Homa Bay County, for instance, from where they were under 300 million a year collection to over 1.5 billion. So we would love to, of course, this OSR conference is about sharing the ideas, sharing our success with other counties to lead them to see what is possible by use of technology and how could we help other
His Highness the 49th hereditary spiritual leader of the Shia Ismaili Muslims and the founder of the Aga Khan Development Network is dead. Prince Karim Al Hussein Aga Khan IV died at the age of 88 in Lisbon, Portugal on Tuesday the 4th of February, surrounded by his family. President William Ruto is among world leaders who have mourned his death. President Ruto eulogized him as an extraordinary leader who went beyond what seemed impossible to help the vulnerable through his charities in hospitals and schools. The Aga Khan became the spiritual leader of the world's millions of the Ismaili Muslims at the age of 20. A recent survey conducted in Bungoma County has revealed that most school-going children in the country cannot solve addition and subtraction tasks correctly. The survey, which was conducted by education lobby groups Zizi Afrique Foundation and Usawa Agenda in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, has revealed the need for teachers training on better skills of teaching maths and other technical subjects.
That you feel is what. As the country continues to promote the uptake of STEM subjects, education stakeholders who met in Nairobi on Wednesday re-emphasized the importance of reviewing methods used for teaching mathematics in primary schools.
In the wake of CBC, the idea is that all children should be able to achieve their potential, their learning potential. They should be prepared to thrive in life.
This is after a recent survey conducted by Zizi Afrique Foundation and Usawa Agenda in collaboration with the Ministry of Education in Bungoma West, revealing that only 3% of learners interviewed out of 405 selected were able to solve all addition and subtraction questions correctly.
When teachers tell girls this is a man subject, that starts to form. And that starts to impact how girls perform in STEM generally as they go up the ladder.
The way numeracy is taught, we don't communicate or we don't equip the children well in terms of understanding the underlying principles. If I'm adding, why am I adding? What does that mean? What does that look like in practice? How do I use it and apply it in my day-to-day learning and also in my day-to-day life?
Speaking at the workshop, Zizi Afrique Foundation Executive Director Dr. John Mugo called for the retooling of teachers on pedagogical skills that enhance numeracy acquisition, such as error analysis.
The way concepts or the way these problems are introduced, we have heard about attitudes. We have even studies in the past that have shown that 40% of the teachers of mathematics can't solve the mathematics they are teaching.
I think it is now an important national project to invest in what resources do we need to make sure children do well in math.
So far, 12 teachers in grades 2 and 3 have benefited from the error analysis training to improve classroom delivery of numerous instructions in lower mathematics in Bungoma West sub-county.
STEM, in its foundation, is supposed to develop that mind that solves the problems that we are having, and that is what will create jobs.
Opicho Chemtai for Prime Edition.
The National Authority for the Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse, NACADA, has launched a dialogue-driven initiative to address the rising cases of alcohol and drug abuse in Embu County. These and other stories in the County News Roundup.
NACADA has organized a 3-day sensitization forum at the Kenya School of Government, Embu campus, for national government administration officers and community leaders, aimed at fostering a collaborative approach in tackling substance abuse. The initiative marks a shift to an inclusive and educational approach in the fight against drug abuse.
Hii seminar itakuwa hapa KSG kwa muda ya siku 3, na baada ya hizo siku 3 tunatarajia kwamba wakitoka hapa wataenda kwa community na wajumuishe wale wengine kwa maneno ama ile lengo ya kuhamasisha jamii juu ya madhara ya maneno ya pombe na ile drugs ama ile substance abuse.
In Kisumu, the city manager Abala Wanga is cautioning revenue collection officers within the city confines against harassing business operators. The Lakeside City targets to collect at least 1 billion shillings, having been handed a partial revenue collection mandate by the Kisumu Revenue Board.
We know there are invoices that have been issued, and there are invoices that are yet to be issued. So we want to move in a systematic manner. You will never collect money from anybody if you don't have a target. We have zeroed in. That's why we have MCAs of the ward. We have 14 wards, and we know in each ward what should we collect.
Elsewhere, the government, through the Earthy Water Works Development Agency, has completed the Kenol Makutano Waste Treatment Plant, valued at 1.2 billion shillings, at Nanga Gatanga village of Gatanga constituency, where the government is building affordable housing for Murang'a County.
This plant is substantially complete. We are now undertaking final inspection and hand over to the water company for operations, and we expect that this should be done early at the end of February.
In Kakamega County, over 5,000 Western Region residents have benefited from eye screening and treatment, with 300 patients undergoing surgery and regaining their sight at the county's referral hospital.
Na kuanzia Jumamosi hadi leo wameshamaliza wagonjwa karibu 120, na ikifikapo tarehe 7 ambayo itakuwa siku ya mwisho, tunatarajia kwamba wagonjwa wote 300 ambao walikuwa booked kwa hiyo free eye surgery watakuwa wametibiwa.
And truck drivers plying along the Great Lake region have appealed to the partner states to intensify screening of mpox along the common borders. Finally, in Nandi County, security agencies have been urged to collaborate with the government to improve the lives of elderly community leaders across the country.
Functions zote ambazo zinafanywa na serikali ya Kenya wakati wa holidays kama Madaraka Day, ambaye chiefs na assistant chief huwa wanaenda, sisi hatuendi kwa sababu hatuna uniform.
For Prime Edition, I am Teresa Mutai.
Further afield, the United Kingdom and Egypt, among other countries, have condemned President Donald Trump's plans for a U.S. takeover of the Gaza Strip. President Trump on Tuesday suggested that Palestinians should be permanently relocated out of the Gaza Strip and that the U.S. should take over the territory and turn it into what he termed as the rivers of the Middle East.
The proposal by the U.S. President Donald Trump to resettle Palestinians outside of Gaza has been met with opposition by various countries. This follows a joint press conference between Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House, where he proposed a takeover of the Strip.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, will own it, and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site. I do see a long-term ownership position, and I see it bringing great stability to that part of the Middle East.
Trump further said the U.S. will enhance economic development that will provide unlimited job opportunities for people in the area.
And we will do a job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area.
For Prime Edition.
Shilingi 1,000. Toka kwa hiyo sanduku. Stoki. Oh. Kizongo mkuri. Rudisha hiyo pesa kwa sanduku namba 10.
Ongeza ifike 50.
Kwa nini? Anataka ukule popcorn ukitizama runinga, sawa? 100,000 Kenya shillings. Inch TV. 1,000 Kenya shillings. Yes.
Mmelipwa.
Umbea utakumaliza wewe. Hii story imesambaa kila mahali. Na ni ngapi?
Plani yetu tafaulu kweli?
It has to.
The number cannot be reached now.
Ama majini akianza kuchimba atachimbua mpaka apate majibu.
Either way, Jane needs some time.
Umebonga naye?
Tumuongea naye na sawa kabisa.
Na yuko wapi? Huyu si ni Jane? Hizi picha zinatusaidia nini? Kwa hivyo wako pamoja na Trish.
Anza kukaa kama mwanaume juu uangalie boma yetu.
I'll do anything to protect you and this family.
Mimi sina saa za madingo na wasoro. Nitakupepeta wewe. I want to know where my daughter is, who she is with, and why?
We need to exit to business. I've just been told, I said the rivers of the Middle East should be the Riviera of the Middle East. That is what Donald Trump wants the Gaza Strip to become. And apologies for that. Betty Kiptum joins us for the business of business. How are you, Betty?
I'm very well, thank you very much, Kioria. Let's get on with the latest in the world of business tonight. My name is Betty Kiptum. Now, the cost of credit is expected to reduce in coming months if commercial banks pass on the benefits of a lower benchmark interest rate and cash reserve ratio to borrowers. This is after the central bank on Wednesday reduced the benchmark lending rate to 10.75%, the lowest in a year. In addition, policymakers at the central bank have reduced the cash reserve ratio from 4.25% to 3.25% to free up more cash held by commercial banks for lending the private sector to stimulate economic activity. In a statement, the Central Bank of Kenya Governor Dr. Kamau Thuge, who chairs the Monetary Policy Committee, hinted that if banks fail to immediately reduce the cost of credit to reflect the easing of the monetary policy stance, the regulator would take steps to enforce lower lending rates, which includes penalties for individual banks. The measure is being taken after the Monetary Policy Committee noted that economic growth decelerated in 2024. Moving on, a 9 billion shilling Centre for Construction Industry Development is being set up at the Konza Technopolis to serve as a construction research centre and an incubator for construction startups. Here is Benson Rioba with the details.
An audit by the National Construction Authority shows that 700 buildings across the country are at a high risk of collapsing. The regulator attributes the situation to poor workmanship and failure to adhere to standards. To enhance the skill set of local contractors, a Centre for Construction Industry Development is being set up to train locals on modern construction skills and best practices.
To build a modern Centre for Construction Industry Development in Kenya, for research, for training, for capacity building, ensuring that materials are well researched.
The institute will support construction startups to mainstream and position them to take up bigger contracts.
The whole country agenda on housing has changed, and therefore it needs broad-based support in terms of skills, technology, adoption of the current. Going forward, we obviously need to think present and future.
Wahome warned investors holding land at the Konza Technopolis that they have an 18-month ultimatum to develop the allocated land or risk losing their land that will be reallocated to other investors.
What you are seeing is not just the roads. We have all kind of supportive infrastructure for a city to run.
The 18 months that investors have been given, we have the ability to repossess so that we avoid speculators coming into the Technopolis to speculate. Yeah.
147 parcels of land have been allocated to investors to set up shop at Konza Technopolis. Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
Now, private sector activity was resilient in the first month of 2025, riding on expansion on output and new orders. This is according to the latest Stanbic Kenya's Purchasing Managers Index that, however, says business activity growth slowed to its softest pace in January 2025 as businesses highlighted challenging economic conditions and a slowdown in customers' demand.
Kenyan companies saw a sustained rise in their activity levels and new work intakes in January 2025. This was attributed to referrals, increased marketing, improved cash flow, and an easing of inflationary pressures that underscored the rise in sales. The latest Stanbic Purchasing Managers Index slowed to a reading of 50.5 in January from a reading of 50.6 the previous month. Readings above 50.5 signal an improvement in business conditions, while readings below 50 show a deterioration. During the period, farms reported that they increased stocks purchased and inventories held to cover higher sales, as well as the future likelihood of difficulty in finding materials. Price pressures remained solid but moderated from December's 11-month high. The farms responded by increasing their selling charges further, while employment numbers, on the other hand, dropped for the first time since last August, but was relatively stable. Christopher Legilisho, an economist at Standard Bank, noted that the private sector's confidence in January about the business outlook for the next 12 months remains weak, though better than in December. Only 6% of surveyed companies gave a positive output projection, with strategic focuses such as new products and services and increased marketing activity reportedly driving these forecasts.
Kenyan businesses should explore enhanced market opportunities in the United Arab Emirates and expand their reach following the signing of the Kenya-UAE Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, which offers preferential access of Kenyan goods. Economic Affairs and Commercial Directorate Deputy Director General Ambassador Joseph Masila says the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement seeks to enhance trade through reduced tariffs.
Of the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement between UAE and Kenya is a landmark achievement that underscores the growing engagement between the two regions, and in particular between Kenya and the UAE. This agreement will facilitate trade, boost foreign direct investment, and create more opportunities for businesses in both regions. Kenya has been a gateway to East Africa, and through CEPA, we expect to see strengthened trade flows, market access, and increased economic integration.
It is about markets, it is about people, it is about communities and shared prosperity. So by working all of us together, we indeed can unlock unprecedented potentials and shape a future that is both inclusive and impactful.
We aim to utilize all resources to unlock new opportunities for growth to empower the global economy in general.
1.2 billion shillings water and sewerage project in Murang'a County is set to impact over 70,000 residents. Athi Waterworks Development Agency CEO, Engineer Joseph Kamau, says household sewer connections have commenced, with full completion expected within 2 months in efforts to enhance sanitation in the area.
The Makutano Canal Water Supply and Sewerage Project, launched in 2021, was implemented by the Athi Waterworks Development Agency with funding from the government and the African Development Bank. It involves laying 32 kilometers of sewer lines, 195 kilometers of water pipelines, and the construction of masonry water storage tanks.
This plant is substantially complete. We are now undertaking final inspection and hand over to the water company for operations, and we expect that this should be done early at the end of February.
Engineer Kamau says the project is now fully operational under the Kenya Town Sustainable Water Supply Program, which aims to enhance urban sanitation. The wastewater treatment plant, targeting 1,000 households, has a capacity of 3,000 cubic meters per day as part of measures aimed at reducing reliance on septic tanks.
We are right now doing Madhioya water supply last mile connectivity, and we are also on the ground in Keharu doing last mile networks, plus also within Maragua urban, Maragua town, we shall be doing distribution, massive distribution of the Maragua bulk water system, and we have a contract to ensure that Kenyona up to Maleira water project is expanded and enhanced to ensure that we can bring to Maleira tank a total of about 15,000 cubic meters additional.
Residents have been warned to take caution about water, and this is why.
Kwa primary treatment ni purely biological process whereby hiyo ya kwanza ni bacteria, anaerobic bacteria, ndio inafanya kusafisha, break down the biosolids in the waste. From the primary treatment, it goes to the secondary treatment, which is now where you have the facultative ponds, where you have aerobic processes taking place. Hiyo maji si ati ni mbaya, iko sawa, wasikunywe direct.
Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition.
Trevor Ngendo brings a close to business news this evening. Sports news is coming up with Daniel Wahome. My name is Betty Kiptum. Do have yourself a lovely night. Bye-bye.
What's wrong with you? Our neighbor gave you a dress and you think it was an insult? I really don't know if it is because of your delicacy or your vanity.
From what I've seen, I understand why your wife was upset. If the same thing happened to me, I would definitely be very upset.
Enough. That's a different matter. Don't you try to preach on me. Most people have their hobbies.
I know I was wrong. I can endure if he insults me. My friends, I can endure. But he insulted my parents, and even you.
Good evening to you. My name is Daniel Wahome and welcome to Prime Edition Sports. Now, the Cabinet Secretary for Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports, Salim Vuria, today held a high-level tripartite meeting with his cooperative and MSMEs counterpart Wycliffe Oparanya and Rebecca Miano of Tourism and Wildlife to deliberate on measures aimed at advancing the integration of sports and tourism as an avenue for youth empowerment. They agreed to work in collaboration to leverage on the international sporting events that Kenya will be hosting this year, which are the Magical Kenya Open, the WRC Safari Rally Kenya, the Nairobi City Marathon, the Sakafa Senior Challenge Cup, and the African Nations Championships CHAN. The joint initiative is meant to boost tourism and businesses to create job opportunities for the youth while enhancing talent development, which will lead to economic growth. The interministerial meeting was also attended by the WRC Safari Rally CEO Charles Gachero and Kenya Tourism Board CEO June Chepkemei.
Men who can be tourism ambassadors. We also have products. We are soon having the World Rally Championship. We are having the Kenya Open, and those can be great anchors to promote our country in terms of tourism.
There is a project within the ministry that we are doing together with the Ministry of Youth, and the fact that Safari Rally will be there, the youth definitely one way they will be involved, either doing small businesses.
These are 33 billion project. And basically we are looking at how we are going to organize youth and then facilitate them, to be able to realize their dreams in their livelihoods through businesses. Those that are employable, we also prepare them.
Now, the USIU women's hockey team, Western Jaguars and Mombasa Sports Club all miss out on the Africa Cup finals. The USIU women's team, Western Jaguars and Mombasa Sports Club all fell short of reaching the finals of the Africa Cup. 4 club champions finishing second in their respective pools in Ismailia, Egypt. USIU needed a win against Plateau Queens of Nigeria in their final group match to qualify, but they were only able to secure a draw, earning just 1 point from the game. Mombasa Sports Club, on the other hand, secured a 1-0 victory over Egypt's Muha, which helped them to rise to second place in their pool. In other matches, Nigeria's Kada Queens defeated Egypt's Sharkia 4-0. In the men's competition, Western Jaguars triumphed with a 6-1 win over Niger Flickers of Nigeria. Meanwhile, Sikh Union drew 4-4 with Ghana's Revenue Authority. USIU suffered a 6-3 defeat against Egypt's Aircraft Hockey Club. The tournament, which features 10 men's and 10 women's teams, will conclude on Friday. The Kenya Lionesses registered their first victory at the ongoing FIBA Women's AfroBasket Zone 5 qualifiers in Cairo, Egypt, when they beat Burundi 87-53 in their third match today. 11 new players have been called up to the Harambee Starlets provisional squad to commence preparations for the upcoming 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers, where they will face Tunisia in the two-legged match from the 21st of this month.
The head coach Beldin Odemba, in a bid to strengthen the squad, has introduced goalkeepers Vivian Shionzo of Kibera Girls and Lavender Abogo from Kisbet Queens. The defense will be manned by Elizabeth Ochaka after outstanding performances with the junior starlets, and she will be joined by other fresh faces who include Bernadette Atieno of Kisbet Queens, Vihiga Queens Alice Mideri and Tabitha Amwait of Ulinzi Starlets, who have been featuring for the under-20 squad. They will be joined by Mary Ndambi of Kenya Police and Janet Momo of Kibera Soccer Women, with her teammate Yvonne Idagiza, who is a midfielder. Faith Mboya, who is current top scorer in the FKF Women's Soccer National League, will lead the attack, where she will be joined by Catherine Kahemba of Bungoma Queens, one of the leading scorers in the Women's Premier League, Emily Moranga and Rebecca Okwaro of Kenya Police Bullet. Greece-based Dorcas Shikombe and Leila Apio have also been given a call-up, and so as Mona Halima Adams of Kansas and the Tanzania-based Corazon Aquino, Jetrix Shikangwa, Elizabeth Wamboi and Ruth Ingosi, who have been shining for Simba Queens. The squad will report to camp on Monday next week to prepare for the crucial qualifier, with the first leg slated at home on 21st of February before they travel to Tunis for the return fixture on the 25th of February this year.
Now, the Football Kenya Federation has incurred a debt of 383 million shillings, according to a report from the Transition Ad Hoc Committee that was presented today to the FKF President Hussein Mohamed. The ad hoc committee was established by the FKF National Executive Committee on the 21st of December last year to ensure a seamless transition within the federation.
We completed our work on 31st January and handed the report to the FKF President.
The committee, which was chaired by FKF Vice President McDonald Mariga, submitted their findings and recommendations report after successful research, which commenced immediately after the FKF elections in December last year. Speaking during the event, FKF President Hussein Mohamed highlighted some key areas that the committee found out in their research, one of them being that FKF does not have an approved HR policy and procedures manual, leading to inconsistencies and inefficiencies in recruitment, employment contract and payroll management. The report further showed a disturbing pattern of potential fraud and irregular recruitment practices, as employment contracts were found to lack basic security features and were irregularly signed, raising some concerns over the authenticity. There was also no defined salary grading system, causing pay inconsistencies and dissatisfaction among employees.
The financial situation of FKF is precarious.
The committee also found out that FKF operates 16 bank accounts with unclear purposes. The report showed that as of December 31st last year, FKF's outstanding payable amounted to Kenya shillings 383,940,846, which includes debts with external agencies and service providers, which pose a significant financial risk to the Federation. Similarly, there is a marked disparity in the funding allocated to women, youth and men's football, with men's football receiving the bulk of funding, leaving the women's and youth football underfunded.
Kenya is still under restrictions at FIFA, and that has incapacitated the federation in terms of its operations to a certain degree, to a certain level, and we are working very hard to ensure that we regularize our membership status.
The report will now be tabled to the National Executive Council, according to Hussein, where they will discuss the next course of action as a federation. For Prime Edition Sports, I'm Daniel Mwendwa.
Now, Patrick Kioria has resigned from his position as the acting chief executive officer of the Football Kenya Federation. This was revealed by FKF President Hussein Mohamed, who acknowledged having received a one-month notice from Kioria tendering his resignation. Kioria, who has also served as CEO of Nairobi City Stars, was appointed to take up the position in October 2024, when the then FKF CEO Barry Otieno stepped down from his role in order to run for the FKF presidency.
I want to take this opportunity to thank the General Secretary, Patrick Kioria, for the job he's done as an acting GS during the electioneering process last year, when his mandate actually came to an end in December as acting Secretary General. He has given us a month's notice, and we will still be working with him in the transition period to make sure we have a smooth handover.
So that's the sport for tonight. Thank you for being with us. Join us tomorrow evening for more sport. My name is Daniel Wahome. Back to John Jacob Kioria.
Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. That just puts a cap on Prime Edition. Thank you very much for your company for the last 1 hour. We really appreciate. Have yourself a fantastic night and see you around. Our sign language interpreter tonight was Lensa Odingo. I am John Jacob Kioria.
Shilingi 1000. Toka kwa hiyo sanduku. Stoki. Oh. Kizongwe mkuli. Rudisha hiyo pesa kwa sanduku namba 10.
Ongeza ifike 50.
Kwa nini? Nataka ukule popcorn ukitizama runinga, sawa? 100,000 Kenya shillings! Inch TV Smart 1,000 Kenya shillings! Yes!
Ima na wendo mwingi tukikuthokia Embu County, the land of opportunities. Kambunene ya Ngemi FM mushi worata.
Twegagure na kamwetha kama viumeto. Muroro kiande tukunye maire na murori tuthie thokore besa mevukore cha
manje makiyara uranje mure cietu cia thitima na ronje ruwathagana nyamu cia kithaka igitugemeria bururi wetu wa mbere Embu County Ngemi FM tikomuno tukianirira na mugambo munene eno ni
Ngemi FM
musie wa urata
eno ni nyumba nene
musie wa urata
Ngemi FM 103.5.
Are you a talented artist, or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with your music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
Mimi Kefe Chuma.
Wewe chuma inatoka wapi? Wewe kama ulimi ni msito siwachane naye. Tumuite jina lingine.
Lakini wewe ni nini ya kusumbua?
Kwa nini?
Zilikuwa C4, zile za
C4 na kuruneti si kitu moja.
Guruneti ni guruneti.
Sikiza nikwambie mami. Unajua
tulijua ni guruneti ile inatumika kwa kware. Ilipolipuka mimi nikainuliwa juu, huyu mama kainuliwa juu, tukajipata tumelaliana in the new year.
Why